Now you have several tools to understand null safety and how to deal with null values in Dart and Flutter. There's a way to automatically port null unsafe code to null safety, and the great news is that it's incredibly easy to use. It's the Dart migrate command line tool. It works like this. First, you need to ensure all your dependencies implement null safety. Then you run the Dart migrate command. You then check all the changes that were implemented, and you can optionally make changes to the changes. Finally, you accept the migration. In the beginning project for this episode, you find a project that's very similar to the one you've built in the previous episodes, that does not implement null safety. And the question is, how do you know if a project does or does not implement null safety? The answer is in the pubspec.yaml file. Everything that supports an SDK version below 2.12 is not null safe. Everything starting from 2.12 and above is null safe. As you can see, this project uses the 2.10 version of the SDK, so it's not null safe. Good, let's try the tool. In a terminal window, open your projects folder and type the command dart migrate. After a few seconds, you should get an error message telling you that there are unmigrated dependencies in your project. This usually means that some of the packages you are using in your project are not null safe. A possible solution might be opening your pubspec.yaml file and updating all the packages you are using to the latest version. But this might become rather cumbersome, especially if you are using many packages. In this case, there's only one package, but still, let's see how the tool might help you. In the error message, there's also the command we'll use now. Copy the dart pub updated -- mode = null safety command, paste it, and press enter. The tool will show all the null unsafe packages, with the first version that solves the issue, and the latest available version, which in our case is the same. Let's copy this version and paste it in the pubspec.yaml file. Then update the project. OK, now all our dependencies are null safe. So run the dart migrate command again. This time the migration succeeds, and a URL shows up in the message. Copy this and paste it in the address bar of your browser. You get to a page where all the changes identified by the migration tool are shown. Near the name of each file, you find the number of changes that the tool identified. So there are 16 changes in country.dart and 7 in countriesscreen.dart. There are two important things I'd like to point out here. First, no changes were made yet. This file contains suggestions for changes to your code that have not been applied yet, so you can have a look before you write anything. Second, you can choose which files and folders to migrate. You can unselect all the elements that should not be migrated yet. This helps a lot in larger projects, where maybe you want to migrate only some of the files at any one time. Now, to see the changes, click on countriesscreen.dart. At the top right of the screen, you see a description of all the proposed changes to your code. For example, the tool added a late modifier for countries helper, which is exactly what we did in our code. Scrolling down, there's a non-null assertion on line 33. As you can see, some of the changes are what you've written in your code, others are a bit different. And sometimes the tool makes choices that are not necessarily the best for your own code. For example, open country.dart. As you can see, the migration tool chose to make all fields in this class nullable. We don't necessarily agree with that, as only currency code and population should be nullable. So, click on the question mark near country code. At the bottom right of the screen, you see the reason why the tool is proposing this edit. But you have the option to make this non-nullable with the exclamation mark hint. So click on it and repeat for country name, capital, and continent name. Then click on the Rerun with Changes button at the top of the screen. So now this class is much better and closer to the choices we made while creating this class. An interesting thing to note here is that the hints actually change your code. So you could also write the hints in your own code and let the migration tool apply them. When you see all the changes and everything looks fine, just click on the Apply Migration button. The Apply Migration action will really change the code in your project. Great! This actually completes this course. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, and stay null safe.